Let's get a taxidermist.
If anybody knows a taxidermist,
specifically one that will do pets,
taxidermied. Is that a word?
Yeah.
a dog.
Preserved a dog.
We would like to talk to you.
Yes. Or like freeze dried or preserved in some way or something that we're going to put a call out for this because I want to know.
Oh my dog. Dog. Oh my dog.
Oh my dog, hey.
Oh my dog, hello.
We're back.
Back again.
Yeah, we were just saying it feels longer since we've seen each other, but it's been like just one extra day, I feel like.
Didn't I see you somewhere in between now and then?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't remember seeing myself, to be honest.
Things have been a blur the last 2 weeks in my world.
Isn't it always, though?
Yes.
In good news, we, in the last 2 weeks and 3 days, whatever it has been, we doubled the adoptions over intakes. So we had 24 adoptions and only 12 intakes.
That has not happened before. So this is what we're going to call a double adoption week.
Most of those adoptions are puppies. So
I'm just thrilled that entire litter of puppies actually got adopted out on their first round of meet and greets, because I thought we were for sure going to get saddled with a couple extra doodles. When you throw like 10 doodles into the adoption, all at once, I thought, well, the people that want them, but...
Well, if people want any more, I know where to get a few.
We still have to decide if we're going to...
I literally let that sleeping dog lie.
Yeah.
Did not engage.
Yeah.
But we do continue to have an open relationship with the breeders that we work with when we have breeder surrenders, and sometimes there are residual issues that arise.
Yeah.
And so we might see a few more older doodle puppies come in, but we're gauging the situation. I think Kara and I in the last month or so, I don't know if it's the season or our intake rate or that we've had, a couple large groups kind of back to back, which ironically, what was it, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday was our 1 year anniversary for Knoxville.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That came up on my memory. So this must just be the season for large intakes. But we're feeling a bit of a lag in the mafia group. People are going back to school. Kids are back in school. They're in sports. The seasons are changing. There's harvest, the whole bit, and so we're just kind of
like as a whole
for everything.
It's really a problem in our society,
right? We still don't understand that, but so we constantly, Kara and I are gauging the engagement.
Yeah.
Gauging the engagement and the Mutt Mafia, and we kind of base our intakes off of that. So if we're posting dogs and we're not getting a lot of traction, we're feeling kind of the early signs of burnout, and we just kind of pull back a little bit and clear out the shelves, as you might say, and then we'll hit it again this fall, which I think is, honestly, if we remember correctly, this was about the same time last year that happened too, where we were gearing up for fall. And
yeah, I think it must just be the time of year. People are busy. Well, and we're in Iowa, so we're reminded it's harvest time, and all of those folks in the agriculture world are busy, and there's just a lot going on, school, all the things.
But even with that, we still had 12 intakes.
Oh yeah, people are still standing up and wanting to help, and so we're still rocking and rolling. And we did kind of a fun thing. We went, and you live your life listening to the radio, and you hear like a voice on the radio, and we got to meet one of the voices on the radio, Kim Chase with Cumulus Media. She does like KJ,
97.3.
Yes, but they have like
that's
6 or 7.
That's Nash FM.
Nash FM, and then they have like 6 stations that are all in that like bubble. So she does a podcast called Inside Iowa, right?
Yep.
And so we went and hung out with her for about an hour and did a podcast with her, which I thought we had a good time. It was great.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that it was in downtown Des Moines, and so I was just, driving along. I think we had to be there at 11 or something, and I'm just driving, and I get to like Grimes, and I'm getting on the interstate. I'm like, oh, I should punch in and see what exit is. Like, your exit is in 0.2 miles, and I'm like, oh, this one right here. Reen, got it.
And then she was like 45 minutes
Yeah,
early.
no, that was way early, which never happens.
No.
By the way, not with me anyway.
Not with either of us usually.
But so we were sitting in the waiting room, and I was like, Kara, I wonder, because I've heard this lady on the radio. She's been on the radio for a long time.
Like 18, 19 years.
And I was like, I wonder what she's going to look like. Because I have this, vision in my head. Nothing like it at all.
I don't know what I thought. I did, once she started talking, I realized I had indeed heard her voice. I'm not a big listener of, like, the radio itself. But, I don't know, like, as soon as she started talking and her little, like, spicy personality and, like, clear love for dogs and animal welfare, I was like, this is going to be just fine.
Yeah.
We had a good time. So we will put a link to that podcast episode of hers on our podcast. We've already posted it on our Facebook page, but want to make sure that everybody can listen to that. And I anticipate we'll be coming back on. She said, we can
After the new year.
after the new year.
Yeah.
So we'll
I think once a quarter.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to be able to dive into our rescue stories that we kind of regale to each other with someone who's like a definite third party that's like very invested. I think it'll be really fun to talk through with her.
And I always find it interesting when we talk to people that are what I would consider removed from the rescue world, when we talk to them about rescuing dogs. And their point of reference is always the ARL and another well-known rescue here in central Iowa. And I consider us completely different from either one of those organizations. I'm not saying in a better way. I'm just saying in a different way.
Yes.
We are really doing it a different way. And so when we start talking to them about it, they're like,
wait, what? Well, because she said, I should have come out and seen you guys. And we were like, well, I mean, you could have. My living room's nice. But, we just don't have the, like, chain link fences where you look at dogs walking down the aisle, clinking their tin cups, hoping for treats. Like, that's just not happening with us. And there's reasons why. And so I think that was really fun to be able to tell somebody about rescue rather than like shelter-based rescue or foster-based rescue.
Yeah.
That was cool to like see her be like, oh yeah, I get
Got
it.
it. Yeah.
So.
And last week, what's today? Monday. Last Tuesday, I went and spoke with the Lions Club of Madrid, and I went over the same thing about foster-based rescue and what that means and why that's important to us in a way that we get to learn about the dog, understand its quirks and its needs. Just like my foster now, I've learned that it doesn't do well with men, or he's more partial to women, I should say. I think eventually he would probably warm up to a male, but for the most part, he's a female's wingman. And you're not going to know that in a shelter situation. And so that's where you end up with returns, which turn into euthanasia.
Yep.
And so that's why we believe that foster-based rescue is important. And I think we're getting that message across in all of these little engagements that we do where we educate people about why it's important.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a majority of the rescues in the area outside of the two big ones, they still all have facilities, which I understand the reason why. And I'm not saying that we won't ever, not like that we might have.
Yeah, I would love, we would love to have a safe
little
house situation. Big dreams, big goals.
Yeah.
See what happens. Put it out there. Manifest it.
But a lot of them do have a hard time with finding fosters, and I think because we're able to put all of our effort into like nurturing those relationships, that's been successful for us. So
definitely,
hopefully that
it's all where you put the energy, right?
Yeah. So all right, well, the 12 intakes, a big chunk of them you went and picked up from our friend Shelly, who has been on the podcast before in Calhoun County.
Yeah, they had a hoarder situation up there. 17 dogs, I think they took in, right?
Yeah, I think
16,
so.
17?
Yep.
And we were able to raise our paws for 6 of them,
Yeah.
which I'm sure was a huge help
Oh, yeah.
to their shelter. If you're not familiar, Calhoun County is like the Rockwell City area.
Mm-hmm.
And their shelter, air quote, is like 3 runs in a Morton building that's not temperature controlled. So
Yeah.
if you can imagine 17 Chihuahuas that are flea infested, they all had skin issues.
They were not in good shape.
One of them has cherry eye. There was a puppy, like I think she was 4 months old, 5 months old, all the way
3
to a
pound.
senior. So not an ideal situation for that group of kids. So we were happy to help her out.
Yeah, I'm glad we could take as many as we did. I wish we could have placed them all, but
so I went to pick them up. I met her in Jefferson. I got the 6. And then I made a pit stop in Madrid, dropped 2 off to Michelle, and then I was meeting the rest of everybody at University West because Natasha was bringing the puppies up for their vaccinations, and Marissa can meet there. You know, it was just like a central location. Great, whatever, fine. So I'm sitting in the parking lot. I offloaded one to Morgan's mom, aunt. Talked to her for a minute. Natasha got there, was Zaddy Nick. Gave them theirs. They went inside with the puppies, helped them inside with the puppies. Then here comes Marissa and her husband. And she's like, what did she say? She's like, trouble just seems to find me. And I'm like, girl, if you are here to tell me that you're not taking this dog, I'm going to slash your tires. No. So she opens up the back of their van. They have like this conversion van thing, cargo van thing, which I still haven't figured that out yet. I need to ask her about that because it's got a canoe on the top, and I'm like, girl, we going? Like, I want to go.
They're adventure buddies.
they
go camping every weekend and go all the things. He loves to drive. Like, they just like to go explore.
So they open up the back doors, and there's this dog that has had like explosive diarrhea in its wire crate, and it's a happy little dog. It looks like it's been neglected for a long time. It needs a haircut real bad. You're in Texas on a work trip.
Yeah.
Completely inaccessible at this point.
I volunteered her to go get all these Chihuahuas. She was like, am I going to have to go to Rockwell City? I was like, yeah.
So I was like, what is this? And what did she say? Something about it was roaming around her neighborhood, and either she saw on her way here, it came up to her when they were getting in the car to head to University West to meet me. And she's like, I couldn't just leave it. Like, I've seen this dog roaming the streets
for a while
in our neighborhood for a hot minute, and I couldn't leave it because it was in bad shape.
Yeah.
He had mats, like, it was a whole nother foot on top of his foot, separate from his foot, and it was a mat on all 4 feet.
Aw, that hurt to move and walk.
Yes, and he had mats hanging from his ears. His face was all overgrown. He looked like that character off of Sesame Street. Anyway, I took one look at him, and I was like, Bree. Like,
we need help.
Help. SOS. I pull out my phone. I call Bree. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. Do you want me to shave him down? And I'm thinking to myself, I can't shave this dog down. I am not equipped. I have like wall clippers from Walmart. Okay. Like, this is not going to work.
Please.
It's basically, can you help me? Can you meet me? Can I come over? Cause I'm like I'm like 10 minutes away. She's yelling in the background, can you handle supper? To her husband.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I got it. She's like, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, thank you, baby Jesus. So I take this like diarrhea situation and like pick it up and put him in another kennel that I just took a Chihuahua out of. And luckily she was the last one to pick up. So I just, went like 10 minutes away over to Bree's place. And it took us an hour and a half to get this dog shaved down because the mats were so
close to the skin.
Tight around its legs, and so what do you call that, like when it just keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And casting. She called it casting.
Yeah.
And so she like she'd go at it vertically and like cut through it, like you see when when kids get their cast cut off, like they cut through it, and then she'd like rip it open because by then it's off their skin, right?
Yeah.
But he was not a happy camper at all.
Well.
At one point, I actually called University West back, and I was like, "Hey, is there any way we can get in for some sedation? Because
this is
he's like ready to pass out. He's just so stressed. Like we'd do maybe 5 minutes, and we'd have to stop and rest.
Yeah.
Go for another 5 minutes, stop and rest. And I'm like holding his head. I'm like, trying to talk to him, trying to rub his ears. Like he's freaking out. Finally, we get all of it off of him, most of it off of him, enough that I was like, good, we're good enough. And in the meantime, I put something out on Mafia. I was like, emergency, I need a foster, like, right now.
Yeah.
And Allie spoke up for him, and I said, do you want me to bring him to you, or can you come pick him up? Like, please
come pick him up.
Please come pick him up, because I've been on the road for, most of the day at this point.
Oh, man.
And Bree, afterwards, she was like, girl, you looked exhausted. And I was like, no, that's just how I look every day. But, yes, I was very tired. Anyway, so what's his name now? Prince.
Yeah.
And he has some issues, but mainly I think he just needs some recovery time.
Yeah, I think he's just had a rough time. He's got to have a good diet for a little while. And
he wasn't malnourished, but he was definitely underweight.
Yeah. Well, he was probably scrounging for whatever he could find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very uncomfortable.
And he's like a little Shih Tzu or something, right?
Yeah. And then he started having a cough. Well, he might have had the cough the whole time. I don't know. I only had him for 2 hours. But,
yeah.
Allie reported that he had a cough, and so he's on some meds
for
a while, and then they'll reassess.
We thought he might have heartworms or something, but he didn't, so that's good news. But anyway, well, I missed all of that, so that was my first time hearing the whole story.
I'm like messaging you. I was like, hey, could you call me when you get a second? Like, not urgent per se. Like, you don't need to fly back or anything, but I could use someone to talk to right now. Kara's off kissing millionaires and, doing her daily grind.
Somebody's got to pay for this ship. Oh, my God.
Okay, so 6 of the 12 were this group of Chihuahuas that came out of Calhoun County. I think the majority of them are doing fine. Have any of them been adopted yet?
Just Fawn.
That's right. The young little 4-month-old cutie patootie.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Now, I personally have Roy, and he checks every box.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he hasn't been scooped up yet, but he's just he looks like a little miniature healer.
Well, the thing of it is when we get these dogs that don't fit breed standard or are like a mixed breed, not everyone's looking for a mixed breed per se. You know what I mean?
Right.
So sometimes it takes a little longer for someone to come along and be like, oh my gosh, that dog's cute. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
Because these are all clearly very Chihuahua-y, but they're like bigger.
Yeah.
Terrier mix or something.
Their DNA test would not come back 100% Chihuahua. That's for sure.
No.
I don't even, when I look at Roy, I mean, other than the size, I'm like, I don't really see it, to be honest with you.
No, I don't know what. He really does look a lot different. Yeah, I don't know what they are.
He's just got a full black face, and then he's like a
he looks like
a healer,
a
like
tiny
a blue healer. But they, mine and Natasha's, and I don't know about the rest, but, one of the others, they're reported to be partial to females.
Yeah.
And so I think whatever situation they came from must have had a male involved.
Yeah.
Or it was exclusively a female, and when they
had never experienced that
haven't
energy.
experienced the males either way.
That's possible.
So I did have somebody interested in Roy, and then I was explaining all this to them, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's just me and my husband and 3 boys," and I'm like,
I mean, I do think he'll get there eventually because he's not as extreme as some that I've had as far as like hating men.
Yeah, no, he's not aggressive or anything, but like,
yeah.
What I told her, I said, if you're up for it, I'm sure he'll come out of it, but he's going to take some time and patience.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a vanilla dog, what we consider a vanilla dog.
But yes.
If you're not up for it, that's cool too.
But that's why we try to tell the good, bad, the ugly. And we really
Right.
pressure our fosters to not do much other than tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you dog. Because,
Otherwise, you're going to get that dog back.
yeah. If you're like, oh, yeah, he's real nice and there's never been anything wrong, and then he goes to their house and he, growls at food time, and you didn't mention that he growls at food time, then the flags start raising, and then we get freaking phone calls like 20 freaking minutes ago, come get this dog now or I'm going to put it to sleep. Get out of here.
That's literally what he said, too.
I know. So, anyway.
The bat phone.
Yeah, she's like, let's answer this bat phone while we're preparing for our podcast so that we can have an emergency.
I always answer it. There's only been a handful of times that I haven't answered it.
I watch it ring because I just know it's going right to the right place. Oh, man.
Speaking of returns, Mr. Morato's back.
Yeah, he is kind of a spicy little tot, and I think he's with a really great foster now. We've had to shuffle him a little bit because he didn't quite love the little kid life at Marissa's house, even though he was there before and did fine, but now he's kind of stressed out, I think. And so he's at a little more chill home. He is kind of picky about whether or not he likes other dogs, but he's like itsy bitsy. So, I mean, it is what it is. If you can make it work, you can make it work. But
Right.
I think he'll find, if he had like a single lady who was up for, a best friend who wanted all of her attention, I think he'd really like that. He's a nice little dog.
You just described Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie came out of Wichita. It's a very malnourished,
Rickety
decrepit,
ass white.
Westie something.
It looks like a wiener dog, but white and like kind of wiry hair looking, sort of.
Yeah.
She says he's like really soft, it's a girl. She said she is really soft, but might have a little dementia, like kind of that older, like, people who like the oldies. Like, I like that. I don't
Like,
care.
I'm here, but I don't know I'm here.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just cute sitting in this bed, But he's safe. And then Tinker came as well. We had been waiting for him because, or she, her.
Him. Tiny Terror.
These are backwards gender names that are throwing me off. Tiny Terror was his name, and he was supposed to go to a new foster, and she found out what his name was, and then started researching and like found some posts from where he was coming from, and like they had said like, oh yeah, he's kind of spicy, blah blah blah, and she's like, hey, like I've got little kids, and I don't want my first foster to freak him out by like being snappy or whatever, and I'm like, well, he weighs 4 pounds, but okay. That's fine. She is nice enough about it. And luckily, we found a good placement otherwise. And Tinker, it's throwing me off. He is doing fine. So he's adorable.
And Glazed Ham came in under my radar. I just kind of woke up one day and there he was.
So
is this from...
here's what happened. So Melissa, who used to foster for us
in Story County,
she ended up taking a position as the head of...
like the director of
a humane society in
Cedar Rapids? Yeah. Somewhere over there.
And so
Eastern Iowa, anyway.
I said, you know what? Go ahead. If you've got overflow or you guys are really full, just email us what you got and I'll look. And she had emailed about this one dog and I looked. And I was like, man, I just don't know if we have any adopters around here for that dog. It was kind of a strange deal. And then, I'm a sucker for the smooshy face. And so there's this insane looking Frenchie. Like, just looks like a Brutus of a Frenchie. And like, I'm like, that psychotic thing is coming here. So I said, we'll take that one. And she's like, okay, I can have it there tomorrow. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, it's really fast. But yeah, he's nuts.
He's had a shit ton of applications.
Yes, I posted him on Facebook before he even got on the website, which was like within minutes.
He took all the doodle puppy thunder.
I really should have planned that out better. But yeah, he's a psychopath. He jumps and
typical
does all those
Frenchie.
things. But he'll find a place to land. We're just making our way through all these applications because they keep kind of petering out.
Right.
Like, one gal was like, yeah, I want him, and I thought it was going to be a good fit. And then she's like, oh, actually, my partner won't let me have dogs. I'm like, what? Why are you applying for dogs?
Yeah.
Why didn't you check that out first?
And I did have a friend of a family member apply for this dog. And so here's the thing about running a dog rescue.
Yeah.
We still have processes and procedures in place, and we put all of our trust and our faith in our fosters. We, we pick and approve our fosters that are in the Mutt Mafia, and we train, air quote, train them, per se. And so, unless it's a really special situation, I don't ever
say this dog is going here.
What is it? Like take the
review. Take
the co-founder flag and fly it. Like, so, if you know me, I'm happy to put in a good word for you.
Yep.
Or not.
Yep.
Either way.
I mean, I've seen applications come through of people that I know, and I'll just mention it. I'll just say, hey, like, I personally know this person. I am not saying one way or another. I would place a dog there, but do not feel pressured.
Exactly.
So that's all
I had another girl I went to school with. I've been friends with her for like 30 years, literally. And she applied for one of the puppies, and so I just, sent Natasha a message saying, hey, I know this girl. She's a good person. I've known her for a long time. And that's as much as
you draw your own.
You still make your own decision. Mm-hmm. So, if you know me and you wanted a dog and you didn't get it, it's not.
It may or may not be
personal.
It might be.
It might be. Probably not, but it could be. You should analyze that. Oh shoot! Yeah. Who else did we have?
And
Primrose.
Yeah, Primrose was.
That was a weird one. This lady, like, apparently her entire family has recently died or something. I mean, she's an older gal, so I don't know what entire family means, but this was a client of a foster friend of ours, and she herself got in a car accident, like, last week.
Like,
and
destroyed her leg. Like,
she's going to have multiple surgeries and be in the hospital for a long time, and she can't take care of this dog, and she has no family, and so, anyway.
Yeah.
Now she's with us.
Yes. And Primrose came to my house just for the weekend while we were waiting for her foster, and she is a wonderful little dog. However, it was pretty sad. Usually the dogs don't really, they notice if their owner's missing, and sometimes they're a little sad. This dog howled in my hallway at the door. It was pretty sad.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, once she's got some one-on-one attention where somebody's really loving her, she's going to be completely fine. But she just, like, got thrown into this life and was like, what's going on? Where's my mom? What's happening?
Yeah. I want my mom.
Yeah, she was saying, I want my mom at the door, which is pretty sad.
Yeah, so when you surrender your dogs, remember that.
Howling. Marcus is like, this dog has been howling. I'm like, well, yeah, she's sad. She was with her mom for 13 years, and now she is in our psycho helm. So I would be howling too.
We have an amazing adoption story right off the bat.
Yes.
When did that dog come in with us?
Well,
so
because she was at a different foster first, and then didn't get along with the dog in the home, and then had to be moved, right?
March 14th. So, back in March of this year, we took in a pit bull mix called Fendi, and she came out of a ghetto apartment complex in Ames.
Yeah, this place is like a garbage dump.
It had been in the news
for
several
multiple
times
shootings.
for violence, gang violence, gunshots, things like that. I met the owner in a public place. He offered to meet me at his apartment.
I was in the apartment before because we took two other
dogs
for them. Of
course you were. Jesus.
I went in by myself.
Is your will up to date?
I don't have one. There's something.
Oh, Jesus.
The only thing is my will.
We need an attorney.
There's quite literally a note in my phone that just says, ask Holly what to do with my dogs. That's what it says. I swear to God, I can find it.
If we have any listeners that are lawyers,
my brother
attorneys,
is a lawyer. He could do it, but I just haven't asked him to because
maybe we should get that done.
Anyway,
I picked her up in a public parking lot, and she was black. She's 90% black, and then she has these white spots. She has white spots on her feet and on her chest, and those spots were actually yellow.
Yeah, the other ones we got from him too. When I went into that apartment, they had the kennels sitting there, and the dogs clearly just like didn't leave the kennels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super sad.
Yeah.
And Fendi spent some time with a first-time foster, and she did fine there until she got comfortable, and then the dynamic and with the resident dogs changed. Like the totem pole shifted.
Because Fendi's definitely an alpha female dog. Like she wants to be in charge of everything, and so I think they had a very alpha female dog, if I recall.
Yes.
And between the two of them, one of them was always picking a fight, and it was getting kind of scary. So,
but she did fine there for quite a few
while.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fendi was kind of gauging the situation. But anyway, so she got transferred to another first-time foster, Tam Tam, and what's her husband's name?
Tam
Paul.
And Paul's Great Adventure. I made it or something like that. Yeah.
And there Fendi has been for ever since. And then we just got a message last week.
They jet set it off to
Vegas.
Las Vegas to get married. And they had a lovely time. And quite literally, no more than a day, they got home. And they were like, hey, what would happen if we wanted to? And I was like, you missed her, didn't ya? You know, they got home and, you know, their girl was still there. And I think they had this moment of realization of, yeah, she's here to stay. And they had started fostering with us because their dog of many, many years had passed away. And so they really did try to find Fendi a home because I think their goal was to foster for several dogs until they eventually would find one, you know. But they had no intentions of keeping Fendi, and there was definitely no pressure there from us. But they they just fell in love, and she's a good girl. She's so pretty. She's like a pit bull boxer mix of some sort. She's really
there's definitely a boxer there. Well, we are so happy for Fendi and for her new family.
Yeah, so sweet. And she's doing great with like the grandkids, everybody that comes over.
Well, she's an only dog, so that works.
She's happy. Yeah, only dog. So that was a great one. And then, of course, every single one of all of those doodle puppies all went out. I have their official adoption day as today.
Adios.
Bye.
Mother fluffers.
Get out of here. And then several of the Shorky, Yorkie mixes, Shih Tzus from Grundy Center have gone out. That was a majority of the rest of the adoptions, it looks like. So, yeah. It was
is Zero finally totally 100%?
Well, we went on our boating trip, and think that was the moment. Like, it was so sweet. He was like, they had him all set up on the boat. They made it, so Zero's mom and dad bought a pontoon, and these are friends of ours, and so we went out on this pontoon, and I got in there. I was like, where's Zero? She had made like a tent in the back for him, and he was just sitting in his tent like, I own this place, and like, I'm so happy. He learned how to swim. Like,
Zero also has his own Instagram.
Yep, it's Mr. Zero Fluffs Given. But we didn't know if she really fell in love right away. Dad was not so sure, but when we went out on that boat and I could see his like face when he like saw him like start to swim, and he was like, I'm like, okay, you're smitten, you got to get over yourself, you know. So anyway, but yeah, they
like, as if we didn't know this was going to happen.
They're madly in love, and this dog is gonna just live the lap of luxury. I mean, she's like shopping for baskets so that he can ride on her bicycle with her, and like, it's just gonna be one of those situations, which is my favorite. I love an overly spoiled dog.
They don't have kids, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bingo.
Yep.
Love it. In other news, before we get on to the guts of this show, Ginger Snap is one of the Yorkies that came out of Grundy Center as well.
Yep.
She was pregnant upon intake, and she went and had an ultrasound on Friday. There are 5 to 6 puppies.
She's just a Yorkie, right?
Well, I was actually just going to look that up to see who is the father. Do we need to call Maury?
Oh, yeah. I think we have it on her thing, probably, who the father is. It was probably that same dad of all of them. But, yeah, anyhow, she's either going to have Shorkie or Yorkie puppies.
Yeah, Ginger is pregnant. She is due October 17th. She should have Yorkie puppies. She was bred by Rocky, a Yorkie.
And Snoopy, that hoe.
Snoopy, who is a Shorkie.
What? Jeez.
Ginger does not like to be groomed.
Oh.
She has back dew claws that are hard to trim. Also, she may have a party Yorkie puppy or two because she has the party gene.
Cool. Well, that'll be fun to see.
Well, it's just going to be a little crapshoot.
It's going to be a Yorkie party.
So, like she said, due October 17th, so that's 10 days away. Mom's like,
and that's the other big news. Ma and
oh,
Pa.
jeez. I know. So my parents, I mean, my dad's always pretty much down for whatever. My mom, sometimes she's like, not right now. And okay, yeah, totally, for sure. And so
she had a moment
when
of
I
weakness.
asked them if they would foster Ginger, I was like, it's only going to be for 3 weeks. And then she can go to Natasha's, and Natasha will see her through the delivery and the puppies and all the bullshit after that.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to hold on to this dog, keep it alive,
The maternity
keep
ward.
it contained for 3 weeks. I have not told you this yet. Ginger went on a little excursion.
Well, I know she kept trying to run away.
No, she did.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
my neighbor across the
a
across
real
the
excursion.
wooded area. Like, I'm talking a good couple
She was trying
miles.
to have woodland creatures.
My neighbor messaged. She's like, "Hey, do you have are you missing a Yorkie?" I'm like, she's got tags on. I just want to reach out and see if it was yours. And I was like, "What's the tag say?" She goes, "Ginger." I'm like,
good Lord.
"Oh my God."
You weren't even alerted by your parents?
No.
They were trying to secretly look for her?
I'm like, "Hey Siri, call Dad." I always have my AirPod in. Oh,
God
shit,
damn it.
there it goes. No. God damn it. He's going to call me back now. And I said, he goes, "Hello." And I, like, nothing's going wrong,
Oh my God.
And I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?" He goes, "Nothing." And I said, "Are you at home?" He goes, "Yeah, what's up?" I was like, "Are you missing a dog?" He's like, yeah. I was like, "Would you maybe want to let me know that?" He's like, "Well, I think your mom was a little nervous to let you know," because I had made such a big deal about
we went crazy
not
over
losing these dogs. So in hindsight, maybe I took it a little extreme, but so
struck fear into the heart of your own mother.
So I didn't say anything. I just said, "Okay, she's over at Barb's. I'm going to go pick her up." I didn't say anything. And dad showed up over there like 2 minutes after I got there.
He's like, "I'm sorry."
He took the dog, and I just left, and I didn't say anything. And then 2 days later, I went down for something else, and Mom walks out of the driveway. She goes, "Are you still mad at me?" And I was like, "I'm not mad at you. But I would like to know what the hell's going on in my own rescue. If you could just, give me a heads up."
Good Lord.
So anyway, she's fine. So anyway.
Do we have some sort of tether device on her or something, for f***'s sake?
So
we can fluff out the fluff.
How did that happen, though? I was talking to Natasha. I said, "So when do you want to take Ginger?" Trying to, coordinate all of this. And she's like, "Well, all of the puppies should be gone by," I think it was the 14th or something like that.
Before Christmas, yeah.
And I said, "Well, when Mom and Dad took these dogs, the plan was that the state fair puppies were going to go into foster homes, which was going to open up Natasha to take Ginger the first week of October." Yeah. FYI, listeners, this is how it is. It's like a
full
puzzle
orchestration.
thing.
Yeah.
And I said, "So if Mom and Dad need to hold on to her for another, 10 days,
yeah,
essentially, we need to clear that with them, because that's not what I told them.
Right.
And I don't want to, her to overstay her welcome. I want to be respectful and all of that." And I told Natasha, I said, "Well, it's really up to Mom. So we're just going to have to see what happens." And she's like, "Okay, well, whatever needs to happen, we'll figure it out." So I started a group chat with you and Mom and Natasha. And I said, "Okay, when are you guys ready to kick Ginger out,
Yeah.
And Mom's like, "Well, Natasha still has all those puppies. I mean, does she have room for Ginger?" I was like, "Oh, girl,
She's
you are
deep.
not."
And what I really liked about that whole thing, and she said, "Well, Dad and I talked, and we already decided we're not going to keep any of these puppies."
That's what she said. And she's very clear on that. And I do think that's a good thing to do, though, because of what happened with Tater. And, I think obviously they're tapped out with their accounts anyway. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't,
Yeah, I don't anticipate they'll want to keep any of them, especially like after you go through the whole thing.
How do you improve upon Tater anyway? Really? Which, happy birthday, Tater.
Yeah.
She was 1 year old on Friday.
Tater tot. Yeah, so I am excited to follow along on this journey. I have gotten the pleasure of being in a family group chat, I feel like.
So mom took her up for the ultrasound on Friday, and she messaged me that there were 5 or 6, and then she's driving on the road, and I was out in the front yard working on the garden, and she pulls in, and you had been messaging the group chat, and she's like, you need to tell Kara that I'm not going to answer my phone when I have mama and babies on board. Jesus. Okay. So Dad's going to build a whelping box now.
Yep.
And do it the right way.
Gonna go in
Not
deep.
the hard way, like we always do.
Yeah.
The right way.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
follow along with this ginger adventure. But I want those puppies to be named, at least one of them needs to be named Ale.
Yeah.
For ginger ale.
Ginger ale. What about beer?
Ginger beer. Well, I don't really
Beer.
like that.
Beer.
But
What's ginger ale? Oh, like ginger ale. Got it. I just needed to say it out loud.
It's like that. It's like that game.
Yeah, or you're reading the things.
Mad Libs?
Mad Libs. That was a real life situation of Mad Libs.
I'm all of machine. Yeah.
hey, what's ginger ale? Oh, okay.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it.
All right. So anyway, October 17th.
Okay.
Coming soon.
Yes. And they're going to be just adorable. Okay. So we were talking a couple weeks ago, and Holly mentioned this dog, and she's like, like that one famous dog. And she said the name, and I said, I have never heard of that. So then we decided, let's pick out, a handful of famous dogs and quickly tell their tales, if you will.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't put Lassie on here.
Oh, screw Lassie.
Who's your first one?
My first one is, well, first of all,
I mean, there's a ton.
There's so many. But I found this other podcast that it says 100 famous animals. And she just does literally like these 2-minute podcasts, 2 to 5 minute podcasts. And she just tells the story of these dogs. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I learned about a couple I hadn't thought of or whatever. And so then I further researched them. But the first one is Balto, which a couple of these dogs, I think maybe all of them, have had movies made about them at some point because their stories are so...
Right.
But Balto was an actual dog. There was an animated film done when we were young, I think.
Yeah, I never got into that. The Balto, I don't know as though I've ever seen Homeward Bound.
What?
I know.
Oh, Lord.
But I feel like it's one of those things, like I've watched Fox and the Hound
Yeah.
twice,
Yeah.
and I can never watch it again. Like, I cried the entire
Well,
second
Homeward
time.
Bound is a wonderful happy cry at the end because
Okay.
they make their way home.
Well, Fox and the Hound is might kill me if I ever watch it again.
Yeah.
If you ever want to torture me, would be the way
Sit
to
you
do
down
it.
and make you watch Fox and the Hound. Well, Balto is also this heartwarming tale because this dog, it's real. A Siberian Husky became this hero in Alaska during the diphtheria epidemic. Whew, that was hard to say. And this was back in 1925. He was the leader, and we talked about huskies and dog sleds and the Iditarod and all of the things. So this dog led a dog sled team, and there was no way for them to get this medicine from where it needed to be to all of these people and children who are very sick with diphtheria, but they could be cured if they get this medicine. So kind of the premise of the deal. But in January of 1925, this city was threatened by diphtheria and isolated from outside resources by the Arctic winter. The only way to get supplies into town was by dog sled. So the authorities established a relay system to transport the serum from Fairbanks to Nome, is the city. The journey was 674 miles long, and it took 6 days. Balto led the final 53-mile leg of the journey, braving blizzards, high winds, temperatures as low as negative 30 degrees. He and his team became famous, but their future, it did end kind of sad, was grim after they were forced to tour the country's sideshow circuit for 2 years. So basically, they became famous. Freaking people wanted to see them, right? Because this happened. And this guy purchased Balto and his team for a dime museum that he brought them to Cleveland. So that's how their life ended. They were just like viewed by the public, and it was kind of like a bad deal, I guess. But he was preserved and put on display at the Cleveland. So he's like stuffed. They stuffed Balto.
Side quest.
Gross.
How do you feel about the taxidermy of pets?
I do love taxidermy, you know.
I know. Do you remember that one of the first dogs that we had in the Perry 7? I adopted them out to that couple in Ankeny, and they had all the taxidermy stuff in their house.
Did they have it stuffed?
I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, gosh. Well, I've thought about this because I actually know of someone. It's like a client of my mother's or something. And I can't remember if there were some sort of like fancy dogs. And they had them. They weren't taxidermied, but they were like preserved.
So I have a freeze dryer.
Yes, they freeze
This
dried
is
them.
all over the freeze drying groups.
They
is,
freeze
like,
dried their dogs.
essentially preserving animals.
Yes, she had like a curio cabinet, if I recall the story correctly, with her 3, let's just say,
I think we need
Pomeranians
to normalize this.
curled up in sleeping position, freeze dried, and then you can like go back and check them out. Which apparently is what happened to Balto. He's on display at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History after he died in 1933. So they put him on a sideshow circuit, and then they freaking stuffed him and put him in a museum, which is a little sad. But he saved a lot of lives by leading this pack or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. We're going to dive into a lot of weird things you can do with your pets after they die.
That would be kind of cool. I don't know. Some people think it's really weird, but I don't know why.
Well, I don't know. I have a taxidermied armadillo.
And what's the difference between that and putting a deer head on the wall? I mean,
I wouldn't do that, though. I like the weird ones. I got an armadillo. I got a squinty climbing up my wall. That's taxidermied. I have a diorama of a little mouse painting a painting with an apron and paintbrushes, and then I've named him Henri Mautisse.
oh my gosh.
If we hadn't lost any viewers or listeners before now is the time. I like taxidermy for like the comedic factor of it. I think it's great. If the animal like dies naturally, why not let us enjoy it for years to come? I think it's hilarious. But I don't think that once my dog dies, like I don't think I could see them and not have them be alive. You know what I mean? I think that would be too hard for me.
I wonder if they can make their ears like flappy or if they have to be stiff.
I think they're crusty. I think they're gonna get hard.
Questions. That would be an excellent guest.
Let's get a taxidermist.
If anybody
on here.
knows a taxidermist,
Specifically one that will do
has
pets.
taxidermied, is
Yeah.
that a word?
Yeah.
A dog.
Preserved a dog.
We would like to talk to you.
Yes. Or like freeze dried or preserved in some way or something that. We're going to put a call out for this because I want to know.
I also, just for the record, have never freeze dried an animal in my freeze dryer. You can still buy freeze dried goods from me without being worried.
But if you do get into this, you'll get a separate one so that I can have my freeze dried Skittles that aren't, tainted with
Toto.
We've reached a new low. I don't know what.
Speaking of Toto, are we done with Balto?
Yeah,
Can I talk about Toto? Because Toto, I've added.
Yes, please talk
Wizard of Oz is one of my nearest and dearest, most favorite movies
That's
in
my
the
mom's favorite movie, too.
whole world. I still have it on VHS. I still have a VHS player. And I stand by the fact that it looks and feels different on a VHS player.
Well, because they remastered it, and so it's different. Yeah.
They don't need to do that. It was fine as it was. So I really don't have much to say about Toto other than it was, how do you say it? Cairn
Terrier.
Cairn Terrier.
Yeah.
And actually, fun fact, Toto was a female.
Yes, I did know that. I don't know why, but I did.
But I think it's referred to as a male.
I think in the movie, yeah, Toto is a boy.
But it was actually a female named Terry.
Well, yeah.
Interesting fun fact. I love Toto. We're not in Kansas anymore. But that's another movie that just breaks my heart when they take their little dog. And I'll take your little dog, too. Oh, my God. Talk about an instant hate for that woman.
It's true. Yeah.
If anybody tried to take my dog, I would...
You'd go to Kansas to get him back? Get hit in the head? That's how the whole thing happened. She was just trying to go get her dog, right?
Yeah. So Toto, actually Terry, was paid $125 each week, which was more than some of the human actors.
Well, I
Like the
promise you that
Munchkins.
the little people did not get paid that much. They got half price.
The Munchkins reportedly received $50 to $100 a week, so half price, half size.
To be honest, the dog was a better role. You know.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love Toto.
There's some crazy stuff that happened during that movie. Like,
Really?
Well, do you remember?
Don't ruin it for me.
Okay.
Is it bad?
Well, if you've got the VHS tape, you've still got the part where they're walking through the scary woods and you can see someone hanging from a rope in the back.
I have heard that, and I have seen that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it might just be something that they like had in the movie, and then people later were like, "Oh, they took that out," but it was real. That someone actually hung themselves. I don't know. Crazy.
Terry died in Hollywood on September 1st, 1945, at the age of 11 years old. She was buried at Spritz's Ranch in Studio City, Los Angeles, but her grave was destroyed during construction of the Ventura Freeway in 1958. Oh, that's nice.
Jeez.
A memorial was dedicated to Terry at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery
Should've had
in
her
2011. Toto symbolizes the power of courage and vigilance, no matter how small one's voice may be.
Oh, Toto.
I love Toto.
Yeah, just a cute little dog.
All right. Who else you got?
Another one. This one was also a movie with Richard Gere in it, if I recall.
Ooh,
Hachiko.
love him.
Hachiko was a
Pretty
Japanese Akita, and he was born in Tokyo, I believe, in Japan, and he was owned by this professor. Well, the professor had the movie when it actually came out, I think it was called Hachi, but it's Hachiko is his name.
Mm-hmm.
But the owner of the original Hachi died after Hachi was like only a year old. But every day before he died, he would go with his owner to the train station, drop him off, go about his day, and when the train was going to come back, he would wait at the train booth for his owner to come, and his owner would get off the train, and then they would go about their day. And he was so loyal to him, he did that every day. Well, the one day he came to go to greet him, and the owner had died at his work.
Yeah, I heard about this. And now, then the dog started riding the train every day, right?
In
Or
the
is that
movie, I
another
think
one?
he does, but in this particular instance, I believe he just came and sat at the bench waiting for his owner every day, and he got famous
gosh.
because he did that for a decade.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard of.
It's horrible. It's like, howling at the door when your owner.
This is supposed to be a fun podcast. What the hell is going
Well,
on here?
you can't get famous without some trials and tribulations, okay? So anyway, he was a professor of what is that? Agriculture. Oh my God, I cannot read or live my life today.
Ginger ale.
Ginger ale, architecture. I thought I was going to say agriculture, architecture. It's agriculture. All he wanted was this breed of dog, which is an Akita, I believe. Yes. And so he rode 20 hours to go get, the dog rode 20 hours to get there to him. And then after that, they were like inseparable. And anyhow.
Have you ever had an Akita?
No, they're interesting dogs.
My girlfriend's ex-boyfriend had Akitas.
They're very intense.
If you think a German Shepherd sheds.
Oh,
that's
Lord.
like
They have like a quadruple coat.
Oof.
Yes. But anyhow, he became famous, and people would actually come to this train station to see the dog waiting for his owner, which to me is like
depressing.
But anyway, he became famous, and he just became this. And you know how folks in Japan have this really great respect for loyalty, right?
Of course.
And so even more so than any other culture, I think to be loyal there is godlike, if you will. And so he became very famous because of that and became this symbol of the ultimate connection between man and beast and also loyalty. So they ended up putting, he was a purebred Akita. They ended up putting up a statue in the train station, and it's him kind of just standing at alert. It's a cool statue, and it's still there to this day. So anyway, he's got a whole ceremony that happens every year on March 8th. That is just in memory of him and his love for his owner. So,
that reminded me of a statue that I saw in Alaska, and it's a dog, and they're like on an excursion, and this old weary man, he's sitting on a dog sled, and the dog's just looking up at him, and he's carrying all this like cast iron on his back. And, oh man, those expeditions.
Yeah.
Had to be crazy. The next one that we had it's a hot topic. Can be a hot topic.
I mean,
hot button for some people.
Yeah, well, it's on the same note of like animal testing, right? Like, is it okay to test, drugs and cosmetics and all things on animals so that it's safe for humans? Well, I don't like that, but like obviously it has to be tested somehow to know that it's safe for people to use. Mm-hmm. This was, I looked it up before, so I would say it right. Laika, is that what I said?
Your pronunciation, yeah.
Yeah, Laika. Was the Soviet space dog who became the first animal to orbit the Earth in 1957.
Right.
And
so most everybody knows that the dog didn't survive the situation, and I don't think that they had anticipated it surviving, so I think they knew ahead of time that this was a one-way transmission.
Yes. I don't even really quite understand like why. I mean, I suppose just to like when did humans go into space for the first time? What year was that? Like, was this before that, or it was like later? Were they just sending the dog up to see if it was like kosher, or was it just like a different type of mission? Why did they do it? But yeah, she didn't survive, and I need some more information about Laika. This to me, I'm interested because
humans first in 1961, so this was before that.
Okay, so she was the test.
That's what I assumed, but I didn't want to say that out loud without being fact checked. I feel like a freaking presidential debate at this point.
I know. So the technology to deorbit had not yet been developed. So they knew how to get her out there, but they weren't sure how to get them back down. Okay, it says electrodes transmitted Laika's vital signs back to Earth, revealing that the dog died after her fourth orbit when the capsule overheated. 5 months later, after several thousand orbits, it's Sputnik 2 is what she was in, fell back to Earth, and it was referred to as a space coffin, turned shooting star, and it disintegrated along with her remains. So she just floated around up there for quite a while and then shot back down to Earth.
I wonder what happens. Speaking of taxidermy, I wonder what happens in a zero gravity situation.
Do you decompose in the same way?
Right.
Oh, yeah, there's probably, we didn't know. They just had like vital signs.
And they still wouldn't know. I mean, because it was
disintegrated.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Something to think about at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. For a while, they said that there was a lot of reports as to like how she died, because I don't think they wanted to tell the public like, yeah, we sent this dog up there like to die. But they said originally it was like a euthanasia type thing. Like she was up there for so long, she was alive, everything was fine. But later it comes out that she died from overheating when the cooling system failed in the.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
It's like a hot car.
Yeah. Jeez. Anyway, but for the last one, this is a grand tale. And the reason that we even started talking about this, if you don't know this about our dear Holly, she is a lover of the U.S. Postal Service. And I don't know why. Why do you love it so much?
I really don't know either, honestly. I don't recall exactly when it started. I don't. It's not like I inherited it. It's not. I have no idea where it came from, but I have this thing about post offices. There's something about them. I've been to the New York City post office, which is beautiful, even amidst renovations.
Yeah.
It needed massive renovations. I sat on the steps and fed the birds and all the things, and I don't know. I just love the post office. I think it's cool that you can put a sticky piece of paper on an envelope and send it across the country, across the world, and
It'll show up.
it'll show up. I just find it fascinating. The whole history of the post office, the stagecoach, now the words aren't coming to me. I'm putting it on the spot, but the horses that took him across.
Isn't that the stage? Yeah, the
Yeah.
coaches. Yeah.
Anyway,
The Pony Express.
thank you.
Oh my land.
I couldn't get the words out.
Don't ask me. I don't even know what ginger ale is.
So anyway, Oni is the postal dog, and he was he was a regular fixture at the Albany, New York post office in 1888. His owner was likely a postal clerk who let the dog go with him and go on his route. And then he started just kind of hanging around all of the mail bags. Like, he got a sniff for mail bags.
He really liked mailbags, I guess. Like,
And then he started getting on the wagons, and then he started getting on the trains, and then he started going across the country with all the mail and everything. It's just a really fascinating story.
in this
But
little baby podcast I listened to, it was talking about him, and they said what I loved was people at all of his stops would leave a token on his collar.
So it says postal workers and others began to mark Oni's travels by placing tokens, tags, and medals on his collar. These items included baggage check and hotel room key tokens, dog licenses, and numerous items, blah, 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 so on and so forth. After Postmaster General John Wanamaker, which, if you ever read about the history of the Postal Service, you should. It's very interesting, and it would give everybody a real inkling into how it... Anyway, you should read up on it. Anyway, when the postmaster heard about this, he had a harness made for Oni so his tags could be displayed and the weight could be more evenly distributed across his body. And then occasionally they would basically detag him, and they sent all of those tags to the Albany post office.
Are they on display there? Where are they?
Yes, and so he is actually
Look at his
preserved.
He is preserved. I'm looking at his dead body right now.
At the Smithsonian.
Holy cow, look at him. He's just a little scruffy puppy.
The mascot's actual age was never known. By 1897, he had become old, ill, and crotchety.
Well,
per Smithsonian. After he bit a mail clerk, a deputy U.S. Marshal was sent to investigate. Oni tried to attack him and was fatally shot.
what the hell?
Mail clerks raised money to have his body preserved by taxidermy. Is that not interesting or what?
It's very interesting. Look at this.
I'm just saying.
This is all the places that he had tags from.
Look at that.
I'll post this. It's like a map, and it's everywhere. He went everywhere. He's been way more places than I'll ever go in my whole life, that's for sure.
So from 1964 to 1992, he was displayed at the Smithsonian Museum. And in 1993, he was moved to the new National Postal Museum, where he remains on display next to a railway post office train car. Now, there are they had a stamp made out of them, of course. And I also collect stamps. I collect postcards. Actually, I wouldn't say that I collect them because I use them. So I obtain stamps of all different denominations. So I get the forever stamps when they're interesting to me, like the Oni one. Mm-hmm. And then there's several websites that I peruse at late night hours for the lower denomination. Like before forever stamps came out, there were denomination stamps, and so I have a bunch of those, and I kind of curate my postage on all different kinds of postcards, which I also love to receive, and I have a dedicated post office box.
Oh, no, that's not it. I told her she could only say this if she made a song about her P.O. box, just like they did on, what was that? Send it to Zoom. 02134.
I don't know that one.
Yes. Well, I grew.
Oh, that was on the TV in high school.
Yeah, it was like a Iowa Public Television show, and then at the end they're like, send it to Zoom, and you could send a postcard in, and they would read it.
Send it to Holly. My post office box is number 33, which happens to be my lucky number. I had to bribe the postmistress to get that post office box, by the way.
Wasn't someone using it? Did you kick someone out?
So it's P.O. Box 33, Madrid, Iowa, 50156. I would love, love, love to get any mail from anybody.
Have your dog send Holly a postcard, please. And we'll read it on the podcast.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
We would do a huge shout out.
Also, if you like to make jingles, I know some of you might be musically inclined. Please, could we please have a jingle for this post office box? I need it to have a song. Send it to
something
Hall.
with OMD in it. We can make out the OMD P.O. box, but anybody. My friend was very nice enough to sign me up for, it's called the flower letters. And you can sign anybody up. You can sign yourself up for all they care. And they send you, it's 2 letters a month for a year, and it's like a mystery. It's like a story.
Who writes
and like,
them? Oh, it's just
I don't know.
like
who
they
writes
carry
them.
on, so like you read one and then you have to learn. And
so I've only gotten 2 letters so far, but the first one was like introducing the characters, and it's
so it's like a book by mail.
Kind of, yeah, but it's like you're reading other people's mail. It's kind of fun. Anyway. I love the post office. If anybody works for a post office and like wants to take me along for a ride along, that would be cool.
Well, we need to name a dog Oni. Why haven't we done that yet? During her podcast, I think she said it different. Oni. I don't know how else you'd say it.
It looks like Oni.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do want to call out the other famous animated dogs, though. Of course, there's Scooby-Doo. Not animated, but Benji. Clifford, animated. Yep. Doug, he's the Pixar. What movie is he from?
Oh, Up.
Up, thank you.
Yeah,
cute movie.
We had a dog. The kids named him Up, and then they ended up adopting him. A foster failed, my friend.
Slinky Dog from the Toy Story.
Yep.
Fox and Hound, of course. 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, this one. So when I was listening, Petey.
Oh, Petey, yeah.
Petey from the Little Rascals. That's what made me fall in love with pit bulls. They had this little pit bull, and they had a perfectly painted circle around his eye. It was so sweet, and he was cool. The
Air Bud.
Yeah. Beethoven.
Yeah.
Everybody calls them Beethoven dogs. Like, isn't that fun? Like, if you had come up with that storyline and you completely renamed an entire breed of dog, like, everybody's like, oh, that's Beethoven. Like, it's still this day. No one even knows what that movie is, but they know what Beethoven.
Do you know who Rin Tin Tin is?
Canine
My mom always used to say that.
So Rin Tin Tin was originally a old Western show, and he rode around in the Old West, and he had this dog named Rin Tin Tin. In the 60s, 70s, I want to say, they remade it. It was called, but he was a cop. So The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin was a television series where it was a German Shepherd, and he went around with this boy. And then they made it again. Am I right? Yeah, Rin Tin Tin Canine Cop is a movie, or a series, I guess, in the 80s that they remade, and I did watch that. It came out in 1988, and there was only 2 seasons, but I thought that the cop was very cute.
Because it got canceled or because the dog died?
Who knows? I don't want to know if the dog died. But see, Rin Tin Tin,
you know what we should do a
Cop.
show on is military and police dogs.
Well, so
that's like a whole nother group.
Yes, I purposely left out my favorite military dog, Stubby, which I'm not going to say anything more about because I would like to do that too. I think we should really dive into like working dogs so like the dogs from 9/11 and you know, all of those things.
That's a different
dogs
category.
that are working specifically with like our law enforcement and military, I think, is super interesting. So yeah, we'll have to dive into that on another episode. But
Agreed.
yeah, so
All right. Well,
I don't know what we've accomplished here, but I really enjoyed talking about
I don't
these
know
dogs.
either.
Except
Again, P.O. Box 33, Madrid, Iowa, 50156. Send me a postcard. Send me a letter. Send me anything.
you know how like when somebody is being interviewed on TV and they're like, hide your husbands, hide your wife, they'll use this this audio and turn it into a remixed song. I just know it. I know somebody's going to do this for us. We're going to get a P.O. Box jingle. I'm ready. Please, somebody help us out. Okay, very good. Well, that was fun. We love dogs of all shapes and sizes, and it's pretty fun when the rest of the country comes around and says, "Hey, that's pretty cool,"
Yeah.
and then makes something,
yeah.
make something famous out of them.
Yeah.
So, anyway, on our upcoming episode, that will be out 1 week from this one, we're gonna dive into one of our favorite little dogs, the Chihuahua.
Chi-chi.
So listen in and learn more about the Chihuahua coming up soon. And until then,
P.O. Box 33, Madrid, Iowa, 50156.
please somebody send her a postcard for the love of Pete.
You will be my new best friend.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to hurry up and send one before I lose my status.
All right.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll figure it out.
Oh my dog.
What I mean when I see, what I feel, when I dream, when I be, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Everybody look at me when I'm free, when I feel, what I see, when I do it, I'm a freak, what up? Oh, what up? Say what we got, it's hot to spot, give up the drop, see what we got, do what? We got to go, the body flow, too hot to show, the front row, we won't stop.